All right, guys. Let's open it up. Any questions? Yeah, he's okay. Just a little minor thing. Yeah.
Kellen, I know you're limited in how much you can do in this process, but you've mainly stuck to 7-on-7. What's the thought process to that, and what are you looking for during those periods?
Yeah, just 7-on-7 is really the main competitive component of this thing. A lot of our team components were mostly in teaching sessions, more in a teaching mode where, we're showing we're in the same responsibilities. We're all aligned. We understand our job, and so it's been really good. It allows 2 spots to do it. We've kind of been doing it in 2 spots, so guys are getting a ton of reps, and then obviously the physical component of that will be applied in training camp.
Is that part of the CBA, how you construct and practice?
Yeah, I think it's part of just the way OTAs are structured. Obviously we're trying to limit the physicality and put these guys in really great position to be ready to rock and roll for training camp. And I think that's our big thing. Is this is really a building block, and we just keep growing as we get into training camp.
So how do you find the emergency kicker in Justin Reed?
Justin's got a little history of it, so we gave him a shot, and it looked good. Yeah, he got one and done, and so we'll see. Yeah, there's a lot of guys who've been kickers in their past. There's a lot of guys who've been quarterbacks in their past, and so it's fun to always see, see how it all looks.
In those 7-on-7s, what are you looking for more than anything else out of the quarterbacks?
Execution, decision making, and then obviously the last few days it's really been about more situational football, just playing the situation. The first 9 days they've worried about executing the play, and now we're trying to execute the situation. They both did a really good job today.
Was there one situation today that you were looking at, more carefully? Like, how would you define what you were looking for today? Situational.
I think a lot of it was, okay, second and short, there's a mentality there where if we can take a shot, we'll take it. If not, we're finding the completion. Third downs, especially when you play potential 4-down football, when you're playing 4th downs, you got to play 3rd downs a little bit different. And so there's some scenarios where, hey, you can put yourself in, take a completion on 3rd down, put yourself in 4th down, and we'll go for it in that situation. And so guys just understanding and putting that in their mindset of understanding what they're trying to execute.
Maybe this is better question for like the front office, but like when you're now in this head coach role and you've got like young up and coming guys maybe coming into like second contracts and stuff like that, like what are you looking for in a player before you're like, you want to commit to this guy?
I just say we're looking for guys that match our core values, what we want as a football team. And when they get out on the field, we want consistency and execution. And, we're certainly emphasizing that. I think our guys are creating really good habits through this whole offseason. That's really what this thing's all about. And so we feel good.
Talk about Kool-Aid McKinstry's day and sort of what you've seen out of him. And,
He's been a really steady player, really consistent through this whole process. He's doing an excellent job. You can just tell, again, a good example of those ones that we've talked about in the past where, your rookie year, there's a lot of things moving. That second year, you get a big second-year jump, and so certainly he's a great example of that.
Now being the head coach, when you strictly on the offensive side of the ball, like you were previously, I want the offense to win. But how the mindset, do you go like, well, I want it to be kind of 50-50, where I don't want the offense to win all the time, I want the defense to do something at least. And I'm just looking at times, I know there's not any concern right now, as far as taking away the football and how important that is, protecting but also taking away. But are you kind of hoping for 50-50 ordeal at times when they're competing?
I think really what your goal is when you're in our team settings, when you're in training camp moving forward, you like to see the back and forth. You like to see the moments the defense plays really well, the moments the offense plays well, and that tug of war throughout an entire day. And to see the guys handle all that ups and downs, the adversity, someone's going to make a mistake and then they go make a play. Like, we're fired up when we see that sort of stuff. And so, I'm obviously spending a lot of time with the offense, kind of, making sure that side is taken care of. But you're still, you're a part of the defense. You're rooting for those guys. You love when you see those guys make plays.
Talk about the teaching aspect of the game. Is that even more important knowing you have such a young quarterback room, or no matter who was in the quarterback room, that's kind of what this process would be for you?
I just say that's really the build-up as we go. And I think that's our big emphasis is that OTAs, and we just keep building all summer long. Even when they leave here, now it's on their own time, but they're still continuing to build, and we just roll right into training camp. And I think that's the big thing. We're not going to training camp and starting back on, day one emphasis. Like, we're going. Everything's in, and everything's building.
For Z, could this, like, he was playing like a lot of free technique in the last defensive scheme, and this one we're kind of seeing more as like the defensive end. Could that be something that suits his personal skill set?
I certainly think his ability to rush inside and his ability to play in a couple other positions will be very valuable. And obviously, when you look at our fronts, by rule we're a 3-4 team, so there's there's some odds, there's some unders, there's some overs. We play in plenty of 5-down structures, and so those guys are able to move across the line and create matchups.
And for your some of the edge guys, like we've seen guys like Carl, Chase come in maybe a little bit lighter than they were in the past. Like how do those conversations go? And like when you're asking somebody to kind of just change something about their body to play a specific position, like that's like.
Yeah, I think it's just a discussion with everyone, just making sure everyone's on the same page. Everyone's a part of the same plan, and I think for most part, a few of these guys, and maybe they've lost a few pounds. I think they feel great. I think it's really good for them for longevity and the way we're going to play, and so I think it's been good.
Is he bigger?
I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't have. Yeah.
Colin, we got Father's Day weekend coming up this weekend. Do you mind sharing how much of an influence that your dad had on you and yourself? What do you enjoy the most being a dad as well?
Yeah, I'd say my football foundation is Prosser Mustang football, and that was my dad. My dad was a high school football coach for a long time, and so that's what I grew up around. I grew up around those guys. Those are my idols, those high school players, and so just being around this game the entire time, that's my foundation. That's who taught me how this game operates. And so my dad still comes out to plenty of practices. He'll be here throughout training camp and all that fun stuff, and it's fun to have him a part of this because there's a family aspect of this profession that's really special. And so now for me, I feel fortunate. We got 4 little ones, and so this job can be busy. There can be a lot of things, but you always try and find time with those guys and spend time with them. Certainly when we get away from this, but having them around this building as much as we can. That's the way I was raised, and that's the way I hopefully allow them to experience that as well.
The airline miles, seeing you and Kirby's name.
Yeah, there's been plenty. Yeah, they travel plenty.
It's been a little hotter today than it was yesterday.
Yep.
You talk about the importance of keeping them, executing right on the field. How are you going to manage that with this?
Yeah, the heat's a really good component of this. It's a stressor. There's a lot of different ways you can stress players, stress the team. Heat's certainly one way, and so our guys have done a really good job, I think, over the last 2 days. Yesterday probably was a little bit of it was the first time where it was really hot, and then today probably adjust, and you're more used to it. So I thought our guys did a really good job of going out there and just executing at a really high level.
So inside today, you were a little.
I think Doug's making really good decisions, so he's getting better.
How does Alvin play into your desire to be flexible and unpredictable on offense?
Alvin's obviously one of the premier players in our league. His ability to run the football and play in the pass game, and so certainly want to utilize every aspect of that. He's going to be a really big-time, impactful runner, running the football first and foremost, and then obviously the pass game, his ability to create matchups is going to be a huge advantage for us. And so what's really fun being around Alvin is his mental capacity is really high. He understands football at a really, really high level. He's played so much game, and so I really enjoy and I look forward to more and more of those conversations as we go through this of teaming up on this thing, and so it'll be a lot of fun.
How much was Alvin a selling point for you wanting to come here and work with this offense? I mean, you've seen from afar, you saw him in week 3, but being able to work with him.
Yeah, Alvin's one of the premier players in this league. Everyone knows it. His impact, for a number of years now, and so he'll be a big part of this.
Look at your history with RPO type plays. When do you decide, and do we have enough tight ends or tight ends where we can run the two tight end site as far as like maybe check with me and over the 2 tight end in the run game?
Yeah, certainly there's a few different paths that you can take. There's, from an offense perspective, the RPO game has increased. You got to play within the rules and understand, the downfield component of it, which is always the stressor in the NFL. It'll be a part of our offense. I think it's great tools. We utilized it a lot last year in Philadelphia, and that was a great experience going through that process. And so, as we go, we'll get some guys healthy. Obviously, as we go through this process, we'll be able to play in multiple personnel. We'll be able to play in multiple tight ends. We'll be able to play with multiple receivers, multiple backs. I think that's a big emphasis for us is, how many different personnel can we get out on the field.
From an RPO standpoint, are Tyler and Spencer similar, or do they do different things? And how much of that goes into, I guess, you're planning out how to run the RPOs?
I'd say right now there's a lot of similarities. Both guys have experience from their past of playing in the RPO game in college. Most of these guys have, Jake has as well, and so you feel like these guys have all been used to it. And so there's a few tweaks just because the NFL rules are a little bit tighter with the linemen downfield, so you got to mess around with it a little bit from that standpoint. But these guys are executing it great.
Jalen was such a different kind of, physicality as a quarterback.
Yeah.
Can you do a lot of the same things, or do you have to sort of reimagine the RPOs with a guy who's, maybe not as physically powerful as he is?
I would say the RPO game doesn't change a whole lot. The QB run game obviously is a different component of it, where you have a guy who can truly run the football from a physicality standpoint. That's between the tackles, and Jalen's one of one this league. He's a premier player, and so he's brings a role and a unique skill set that not many guys have in that position, and it's a huge advantage in Philadelphia is his ability to run the football.
Personally, for you, what's it been like to get out in front of the fans this week for the first time?
It's been great. It's been an awesome opportunity for us just to have fans there, bring the energy, bring the juice. This community is really, really special. Hopefully they come out throughout training camp. We create that environment because ultimately come fall, we're going to be asking and needing them on Sundays. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.